Sup? Happy New Year. I think this will probably be the most authentic video I've made in my time as a YouTuber, because this is going to be completely unfiltered. There is going to be absolutely no masking in this. Nishka, you okay? Baba, you like to be the center of attention, don't you? You like to be the center of attention? Yes, you do. She wants to sit on my knee. I think she knows that her dad's going to be talking about some heavy shit today. Yeah. There are a few caveats I want to make at the start of this video, just so that people understand the conditions of what I'm going to be talking about. One, it is thoroughly unscripted, so I have not vetted any of this information in advance. I'm used to be speaking from the heart. You know, I feel like that is a dangerous thing to do on YouTube. Because there's certain words, for instance, that you can't use that I'm going to be using today at the risk of demonetizing my channel, although to be fair, I don't really make any money off of views specifically. I appreciate the support of people through YouTube, and you're fucking having a mustache, dude. You water on it and you realize after you start shooting. So there'll be some language in here that you might not like. I'm just going to kick it off by saying suicide. I'm probably going to be talking about that today, because I want to talk about 2022 and what I want to do in 2023, and I think it's very important to just be honest with you and say there could be some uncomfortable shit. If you struggle with hearing someone, especially a YouTuber who you might assume has just a perfect fucking life and has no issues whatsoever, if you have issues, and I'm not saying that like other YouTubers don't have issues, don't get me wrong, just I think there's a perception of YouTubers that, like, you know, sitting on a chair and just talking and shit like that, especially because a lot of people see me as like a react channel, which I'm going to talk about today, because I'm getting really fucking sick of that at this point. You know, it's a complete fucking insult to the work I put in as a music reviewer to say I'm a react channel. I'm going to talk about that. I'm not mad at anyone, because it's an easy sort of like thing to sort of like see as what it is, but it pisses me off every fucking time, because it's completely distorted the point of music critique as a whole. But yeah, basically, I'm going to be talking about some heavy shit, and I'm going to be using some language which you might not like. I understand that in certain parts of the world, especially the Asiatic regions, bad language is frowned upon. Here in New Zealand, we use the F word all the time. Fuck it. I'm going to use some words that you might not like. I won't use the C word, which is cunt. I won't be using that aside from this example. The second one is that I won't be using any names or anyone specific, simply because I just don't want to start drama with people. I don't think it's a great way to start the year, but I also want to start this year with a clean slate. So I'm going to talk about the experiences I've had throughout this channel over the last couple of years and what I want to do moving forward. 3, by the stuff I say today, I'm acknowledging that I'm not perfect and that I made a lot of mistakes in 2022 that I'm going to talk about today. Not to dwell on it, but just simply to get out of the way, so that, you know, we can come into 2023 and with just good fresh eyes and looking forward to some new content. And yeah, if you see me with my hands doing stuff down here, I've got Nushka on my knee right now. She's just chilling. So I'm gonna turn off the version of me on the side so I don't keep looking to the side. Because if you see me doing that in live streams, it's because I've got a secondary monitor over here. Nushka's really kind of pissing me off at the moment. It's not like as in like I think it's like shitty. She's not doing anything shitty. It just keeps moving around and shit. Part of that is because I've been away for a week or two. But I'm trying to sort of ascertain how to structure this video, right? Because you know, when you don't script something, or it's not a traditional sort of video format, it's unfamiliar and kind of strange. Right. I think the final caveat before we get into it is that you're gonna hear me talk about some of my struggles that I've had, and if you don't like hearing people talk about that stuff, aside from like the I don't know, the edges of the content or something like that, I'm not gonna be edgy, but I'm also not gonna be filtered. So I'm not here to make you happy. I'm not here to make your day. I'm here to talk about my experience here and to be as honest as I can be, because I think that's gonna be really important in the future of this channel. Because I think that there are some issues that I want to address today in regards to trust, which I totally get, and I'm going to talk about why I struggled in 2022, and I'm going to take responsibility for it for the final time before committing to a new way of doing things in this year. And I understand if people don't trust that that'll be the case. If you don't trust me, that's fine. I don't think I've stuck with a lot of my commitments. Like, I mean, with the monthly JHL stuff, I've stuck with that for the most part. Let's just get this out of the way, man. Doing that fucking JHL ranking video has been a fucking nightmare. Like, it has been an absolute nightmare to get that shit done. It's kept me up at night. It has been one of the most stressful fucking videos I've ever made in my entire life. And it's not because of the length or the editing work. I literally recorded the entirety of the audio for it. And then I realized that my mic settings were shit. And just before we go any further with that, because this is all related, don't get me wrong, it's just I'm trying to find the right starting point for this. Let's just go back to when we started getting anywhere with this channel, because back last year in 2021, like the previous year, 2021, the previous year before that, this YouTube channel had maybe a couple of hundred subs at most, and it was because I was doing review work and you know, like there were people that I was doing Fiverr work with, because I'll talk about Fiverr today, because people seem to think that because I do paid reviews that I'm being paid to say nice things. That's incorrect. I've been threatened with fucking lawsuits because people have been pissed off about my reviews. If you don't like people saying bad things about music, make good music. Make good music. You know, make music that makes musical sense. Make music that you can back up. You know, actually put an education and a validation behind it that's justifiable. Don't just lazily shit out something through DistroKid to the various social media platforms and then pretend as if you're owed a dick sucking or something like that. You're not. I don't say nice things about people for the sake of getting paid. I will be honest with people. And I know that sometimes, even with music that people don't like, they can wonder why I'm saying nice things if they think the music sounds like shit. It may surprise some people, but you can like something and another person might not, and vice versa. Sometimes I can see the beauty in the worst possible music imaginable. Like, I listen to Cryptopsy. I love Cryptopsy, and they're like technical death metal or something. And most people are like freaked out and horrified by Cryptopsy. I love them to pieces. I grew up with that stuff. Just because you don't like them doesn't mean that I am biased by getting paid or something like that. Not that they paid me to review it, because they wouldn't need to pay me. I would happily review any of their albums if they wanted me to, for free, because they're that damn fucking good. But a lot of people who watch this probably wouldn't like Cryptopsy because they're ridiculous. They're just, it's so horrific. The music is so intense. But anyways, getting back to Fiverr, basically with Fiverr, I started doing the Fiverr stuff because I needed money during the original COVID pandemic in 2020. And, you know, the COVID pandemic was hard. I was doing music tuition at that point. I was living in a house next to a gang house. And I've got, just before I continue, I know this is a real fucking rant. I have had this ear thing for a year, right? This thing with my ear where like there's liquid behind the eardrum. And it is the most horrifically irritating thing I've dealt with in my entire life medically. And I've spent thousands of dollars trying to figure out, well, not thousands, hundreds of dollars, but close to 1,000 at least, with specialists and doctors here, because everything's subsidized, so it's a lot cheaper. But, you know, like when I say hundreds of dollars, people in the States are like, what are you talking about? You probably went to someone on the side of the road, right? No, in New Zealand, healthcare is well subsidized, you know. I've tried all sorts of medications for it. I've had specialists in like private hospitals check it out and stuff like that. If I want to get it fixed, it's like 10K, so I'm probably going to do that next year if I can afford it. But anyways, look, it's just if I look irritated or if I touch my ear at any point, it's because it fucking sucks and it's annoying. It doesn't hurt, which is, if it hurt, then I'd be having issues. My hearing is perfect, by the way, as well, just while on that front. Like, I thought because I had this thing in my left ear that my hearing was screwed. No, my hearing's perfect. I went and got my hearing checked by an audiologist, and the audiologist said it was so good that it was better than their hearing, and they wanted me to review, mix and master their album that they were working on. That's how buck wild my 2022 has been. I'll, panic for an entire year because it took like 6 months for me to get a booking with anyone for this because of how screwed the New Zealand health system is at the moment, especially in 2022 with people not taking COVID seriously, getting sick, filling up the public hospitals, alongside the flu and the cold, because the downside of, I suppose, people thinking COVID is the flu, is that when they have traditional cold and flu symptoms, they aren't that bad, so nobody gives a fuck anymore. A lot of people don't care. But yeah, so I spent most of last year with with an error that I didn't know what the hell was going on with it. So that was part of why I was grumpy last year. But anyways, getting back to Fiverr in 2020. I started doing the Fiverr stuff because I needed the money. I was desperate. I started charging $5 a video because I knew that if I charged more than that, there was a chance that I might not get paid. And people started getting involved. I had all sorts of stupid people get in touch. A lot of great people, but a lot of stupid people who didn't read the instructions properly, or who put incorrect information in and then wouldn't take responsibility of it because they're also irresponsible. I had some people get in touch who were trying to represent other artists and were using me as a source for their income. Basically, I was just a contractor they were using to manage bands they worked with, so they weren't even doing any of the fucking work. Aside from like transferring their information to me, then they'd get paid by the artist a fee on top. I won't mention names because they could see this and it could cause some issues. Fiverr is a delicate balancing act. You've got to understand this. If a client on Fiverr complains to Fiverr about something I've done wrong, Fiverr will take their side in any situation. The reason I know this is because another one of the clients that I had when I started, and this is what I was talking about with the lawsuit thing earlier, if I'm not mistaken, there was this musician, and they were this young woman, and they were a phenomenal singer, but they really overdid it with the vocals and the little trills and the little tailwinds and stuff. It was just them basically wanking over a backing track. And it was terrible, and I didn't like it. And I was honest with the person that was managing them, and they were obviously being paid to just promote their work unconditionally. And they were furious with me. They had paid $5 for this video. With the money, with the amount of work I was doing for that $5, I was probably getting paid like $10 USD an hour at that point on Fiverr. And it was abysmal. They were like, wow, you're terrible, this is unreasonable, this is unprofessional, you're a terrible person. And I continued to keep my foot down because I didn't want to redo the review for them. And, then they started saying, oh, well, if you keep doing this, I'll report you to Fiverr, you'll lose your account and you won't be able to work on this website again. And I was like, okay. And they continued threatening with lawsuits. They also tried to find out where I lived. All over a $5 order they placed with a reviewer who wasn't unconditionally satisfied with their work. I did praise a lot of things. I think that the instrumental performances behind it were fantastic. I think that there was a lot to appreciate. And if I wanted to, I could probably find that person's order, and I could probably find that song again and re-review it just for shits and giggles. Maybe with 2 years under my belt, I'm a little bit more sort of like gentle, but I still think at the same time, back then I was far more paranoid about pleasing people, and even then, I knew that there was a limit. There was a limit with how much you needed to please people, especially because I'd already been running my own company for 6 years at that point, so I knew that there's a limit to how much you should be putting the customer's always right thing first. Especially with reviews and shit, there's gotta be a point where you just say, fuck it, just whatever, have your way, you walk away from it, etc. But basically, yeah, after I said that to them, and I just said, no, sorry, I'm gonna have to block you. And no, they blocked me, that's right, they blocked me. And it was in the holidays or something like that as well, which is wild. So they were doing this stuff in the holidays. I don't know whether they were stressed or something like that, but they were terrible people. Terrible, terrible people. And I feel bad for the girl, because the girl, if she didn't get note of those reviews, she wouldn't have grown. If she was just getting told that she was magnificent and awesome and everything that entire time, she's not going to become a better musician. There were clear mistakes with how much she was overdoing things. And that to be fair, when I joined a covers band at one point, and I was told that there was this fucking prick, dude, and he was a real kind of bag of dicks. They hired me on, and then to be fair, I don't know what the fuck was happening at that point. I was really struggling with the parts, which was ironic, because at one point I learned 50 songs in 3 weeks on the lead guitar, and I was doing paid gigs, and it was awesome. But I was really struggling with their stuff, I think, and the guy basically said I was overplaying, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing and stuff like that. I think it's just because he really wanted the old guitarist back, and he was just sort of butthurt because they left. And when they came back, they basically were like, okay, we don't need you anymore, or whatever. And that's fine. But the biggest lesson I learned from that situation is that even though the guy was an absolute prick, and I'd love to have 5 minutes alone in a room with him, I think that he made a valid point with the whole kind of overplaying thing. And that's, you want to voice your solos like you're telling a story. And that girl was just voicing her songs like she was like a little diva, and it was a shame, because I just think if she didn't get that constructive criticism, because I was constructive about it even then, like when I was a little bit more sort of like a little less refined with my critiques and stuff like that, I still think I was reasonably balanced. And I'm happy to be proven wrong. If they come back 2 years later after watching this video and they're like, no, you're a dickbag or something like that, then I just gotta fucking own that shit, right? I just gotta own that shit. But yeah. Anyways, I worked through 2020, and the YouTube channel grew slowly. I was hesitant to put any videos on YouTube just because I was like, no, I can't be bothered. They're going to see I have like 30 subs and that's not going to work. But ironically, like the fact that my channel was very, very small justified the lack of attention it got through the videos, and people just want exposure, man. Like a lot of musicians I work with, like at least probably about a third of them don't care about the critique. I would guarantee that they care if it's bad. They care if it's bad, and they expect it to be good. Just gotta keep hydrated so my ear doesn't kind of give me the shits. And I'm also allergic to stuff, so that doesn't help as well. I just wish there was like a little needle that could go pew, but then have to go through my eardrums, so obviously that wouldn't be good. But they just want exposure. They just want their stuff that they put out plastered everywhere, because the association, especially with what happened with COVID, where people can do live gigs, was that I think the assumption was that if you put your stuff everywhere, you got more of a chance of making it in the algorithm, which is inherently false. Take it from some guy who ran several, I successfully made videos, but I didn't successfully grow a following, right? And I still haven't really. Even at 7,000 subscribers, it's still tiny. It's like it's a 50,000th of what PewDiePie has, right? And that's fine. I'm okay with that. I don't want to have 111 million subscribers. The thought of my sole income relying on YouTube at this point, especially with the demonetization issues and stuff like that, the copyright issues I have, not that I could ever really make money from my videos with the format I have, because I literally play the whole song and review it, and anyone could just copyright claim me. If anything, I'm glad that I haven't been because there's a lot of musicians who will manually claim my stuff if they see that it's doing well, and that's it's what it is, man. They say some, to be fair, I don't think I've had a musician say they won't and then do it, so that's great. But a lot of musicians just want exposure, right? And so I started putting stuff on YouTube, got to a couple of hundred subs, and then there was I'm gonna give a shout out to King Cobra, because to be fair to King Cobra, there was this guy who thought the music was so terrible that it was good, and he sent through an album for me to review. I think it was King Cobra's most recent album or something like that. I reviewed it, and there was a bit of love. There were people who unironically, unconditionally loved it. There were people who could not understand why I was critical of it. There were people who could not understand why I loved it. It was so polarizing. It was just so polarizing that but people couldn't sort of handle it. They were either like, you'd love it or hate it with King Cobra. And I saw that there was a bit of a pattern there, and I did another one, as DJ Khaled would say. And it did well too. I think that at that point in time, my production was scuffed, dude. Like, in comparison to the production quality, the way I present stuff today, back then it was scuffed, which is kind of a shame, but then again, everything's a learning curve, right? So I did another review. I did a Christmas one for King Cobra, and that was the last one I did. It was disgusting, and it was filthy. It was terrible, man. Like, I get that there's probably merits and things to appreciate there, but it was almost like he was creating music for it to be terrible. And yeah, okay, you do you, but also if it sounds terrible, that's all it is. It sounds terrible. It sounds terrible. That's all there is to it. You just have to accept that it sounds terrible, and I did accept that it sounded terrible, and that's why I've never done a King Cobra one since, because I just don't like how King Cobra sounds. I don't want to review his material. People were like, oh, but initially people, when they found out I wasn't going to do more, they were like, oh, but King Cobra grew your channel. Like, no, No, it didn't. It gave me a few hundred subs. If it had gotten me to 5 or 6 figure subs, I would have felt more indebted, but I don't. You know, it's definitely not like on the situation with, you know, the stuff with Billy and everything like that. Because I'm not mentioning his name. I don't want to mention his name. I don't want to mention anyone's names. I'm so done. I'm so over that shit. And it may not sound like I'm over that shit because I'm saying it like that. But the biggest thing I learned this year in 2022 is that you're not responsible for other people's actions, and you're only responsible for what you do. And with the King Cobra stuff, I made the decision to review more work out of my own volition. It was a good decision. And I decided not to review more work after I gave it an honest try. And that was a good decision. And I don't regret not reviewing more King Cobra stuff. But after that, there was a bit of a lull. And then I got an order from a person from somewhere, some fuck, whose name did not match who was ordering it. Now fuck it, Cassandra. Fucking Cassandra ordered it, or a member of his team or some shit. He ordered the J Chow review, the very first one that he did with me. The guy had 30, 40k views per video at that point, which was still great, blog videos and stuff like that. And then I think he just clicked and realized that if he could get someone who knew about music, he could just react to the person talking about music. And then it was, to be fair to him, it was a wonderful combo. I've got to hand it to Cassandra, for the basic bit shit of doing reaction videos and basically just using someone else's knowledge and expertise to build a following. He nailed it. He smashed it out of the park, and that's awesome because he succeeded. He got millions of views. And I had people literally get in touch through the Great Wall of China. They'd get in touch being like, what the fuck, he's stealing your material. The reality of the situation is that if Cassandra bought the video, on my Fiverr page, it said that people can do whatever they want with the material. However, obviously, as a lot of people know, and I'm sure people are sick of talking about it, but this isn't your channel, it's my channel, and I can talk about what I like. Okay, and if you don't like it, you can leave. This will be the last time I talk about it anyways, I hope, because this is an honest video. This is talking about the history of the channel, and that's a part of it. Initially there were people that sort of came to my channel very, very slowly after he started posting his videos on his channel because I didn't get credited in his videos. And I will go to the day I die. I can promise you that if you go back, you went in the Wayback Machine, you will not see a mention of me in the descriptions of his videos. He never fucking mentioned me in his videos. He literally just bought my content, pretended that it was his own. Or maybe he didn't. Actually, to be fair, because I couldn't understand the fucking videos. Because they were in Chinese or Mandarin or some shit. Because I don't understand what the fuck he was saying. I think, to be fair to him, he did mention that he bought a review at some point. So that's fine. I could be wrong, and people will tell me if they're wrong. Just be gentle, okay? Because if I can't understand what he's saying, how am I supposed to know what he's talking about, right? Anyways. Yeah. The guy bought my reviews. He used them to make content and make a lot of money. Potentially. I mean, he used edited parts of the clips to avoid copyright infringement, which was smart. It was a smart idea. Good on him. Fucking good on him. But basically, eventually, I decided that I'd had enough of it. I didn't want to make him money anymore. So I went and said, I was pretty blunt with him. I commented on the videos that I was on, talking about how I was sick of it and how I didn't want to do it anymore. And eventually, and then after I said that, he then had one of his fucking lackeys get in touch and go, do another review and make it quick. So he just assumed I'd just capitulate because I wanted to get paid money like I was his bitch or something, or whoever the fuck it was that messaged me. I've got receipts for this, by the way. I've got receipts of all of this. So if anyone wants to try me, I'll show fucking receipts. Fuck, man. That's what I'm talking about, man. I don't even know I've got fucking COVID at the moment. But yeah. I have receipts of all this stuff, so it's not like I'm just saying this shit without being able to back it up. The only thing I don't have is a lack of mention of me in this description, but the fact that I was saying no to him and that I'd found his video, you'll find my comments on his videos, it's not like he removed them. Or if he did remove them, then he's just a little bit dishonest, isn't he? But I don't think we need to prove that. He eventually stopped buying gigs, because after the guy placed the order, after I said I didn't want to do his videos anymore, I cancelled that order. And part of it was because the guy said, look, if you hurry it up, we'll give you a tip. I'm like, I know how much money you're making. Fuck you. And I cancelled it. And I went and messaged them. And I said to the guy, look, what the fuck are you doing? Effectively, stop it. I don't want to do this anymore. I've mentioned this several times. Because Cassandra never responded to my... I don't think he responded to my initial complaints. He might have. I was too angry with him to read his comment. Everything about that man at that point in time irritated the shit out of me. Everything. And I know there's the concept of someone living rent-free in your head. Predominantly, yeah. If you're... The idea of someone profiting so much off of something you've done, at the time it was ludicrous to me, but now there are literally people who make millions off of NFT or cryptocurrency schemes, and then they just rug pull. Money is nothing, man. Money is just silly. And I think the issue I have now is that it was done in a way where if Cassandra had come to me and been like, look, I'd like to maybe pay you 10-20% of the proceeds after that first video, that would have been fine. I understand why his videos were successful. Cassandra, he's a charming, charismatic dude. He's very friendly. He speaks fluent language that the people watching. It's great. I understand completely why he's successful. And I have no issues with the fact that he's successful because people love reaction videos. They fucking love them. And I think the reason that people love reaction videos is because either they love the person reacting to them or they want validation. They want validation that the music they like is good. They want exposure for it. And that's fine. Those two things came into one. They're like a branch off, an evolution of the reality TV show shit that we had back in the day. And I'm just as guilty as anyone. I love watching reaction videos. Although I don't watch it for people to react so much as I watch it simply to fucking bide time. And if you think about that for even a microsecond, isn't it so dumb that people don't even the concept of me not watching a video to watch the video? It's just to fill a void, to fill a gap, to feel a little bit less lonely. It's really messed up, at least for me, which is part of the stuff I've been thinking about this entire time, right? But with the Cassandra stuff, eventually he did capitulate after realizing that I didn't want to work with him anymore, even though I never agreed to work with him. I never at any point agreed to be involved with anything that he was doing, and from the offset, he didn't use his name. He had a separate Fiverr account that he got in touch through, so I don't even know who I was talking to at any point in time. I didn't know if he had different aliases or whatever, but it doesn't matter. It does not fucking matter. Look, he got in touch eventually. He finally capitulated and showed people my YouTube page, and then my YouTube page grew to a couple of thousand. I was thankful for that. People were like, come to Billy, and I was like, oh my god, Billy, and I was so excited because I was drunk off of the success of getting a few thousand subs. Little did I know that I would end up with 130k subs by the end of 2021. I have my Billy award in my studio here. I'm not getting up to get it. I can't be bothered. But I'm proud of it. I'm proud of the fact that within 30 days, I got to 100,000. And you may be thinking, oh, well, that's thanks to Cassandra. No, it fucking isn't. Because he got me up to 30. He initially commented on a few of my videos. He got me up to 30k on Billy, and then I continued to put out content and got to 130 organically after that. The reason that my content got followed on Billy is because it was good content. And I will be fair to Billy. It's one of the most unique experiences I've had signing up to a website with like the fucking quiz you have to do. I had to it's so absurdly fucking difficult to do it. Like, it drives me nuts, dude, that I had to do a quiz with 50 questions. What the fuck is this shit, man? Like, why do I have to answer like IQ tests and stuff to post videos on there? Why? But like, I did all that. I got verified on Billy. I got to 100k subs, or followers, or fans, or whatever the fuck they call it. Some people would like laugh at me for not knowing what it is. I don't care. They're subscribers, okay? People who subscribe to your content. That's just a synonym of it. It's a different word for the same thing, okay? Go bully someone else. But I don't mean that people are genuinely bullying me. Although there was some terrible comments on Billy. Far worse than on YouTube. You know, there've been some real rippers on YouTube, and I'm not going to pretend that I've been innocent. I was feeling really insecure sometimes, and I said some shit to people that, like, I wasn't rude or offensive to them, but I was not patient with people, and looking back on it, I was like, why did I get that upset? Why do I care so much about what those people think, you know, to the extent where it may be that angry? But, you know, joining Bilibili, the things I enjoyed about Bilibili were being popular, but I also think that, I don't regret doing the Bilibili stuff, but I also think that there was a disproportionate sort of response on my end to it. I just didn't know what to do with it. I wasn't ready for it, man. I wasn't ready for the big time. And I fucking floundered. I overcommitted myself, and I just completely screwed everything up. That's how I feel about it. What actually happened, what I think happened was, I built up a following, and then Bilibili wanted my driver's license to be able to verify myself. So I gave them my driver's license, which was a big thing for me, because that's what you do in most normal websites, is you give them a fucking form of ID, like with PayPal, give them an ID. And to be clear, I think that it's fair that Bilibili would want to see my ID, especially as it's a company that's based in mainland China, from what I understand. They're pretty fucking anal about the whole kind of, they're very anal about the whole sort of knowing who you are thing and what you're all about kind of thing. And I get it. Like, they're sending me a 100K award, they're trying to verify me, etc. And to be fair to Bilibili as well, they sent me gifts. Like, they sent me like Lego as part of their anniversary thing, and they also sent me like food and little pins and stuff. They didn't do it this year, which is totally fine, because what happened is that we had issues with money. And before we go any further, I know that Bilibili tried to fix it, because Bilibili and I chatted for about a month or 2 months. They only got in touch when I threatened to leave. Like, they only started really kind of getting serious about the whole payment thing when I threatened to leave. And even then, they wanted a secondary form of ID. And I'm not as angry about it as I was for like the most of 2022. But like, now I'm like, okay, Bilibili just did not want to give me the money. They said they did. But they wanted a secondary form of identification that was just as legal as my driver's license. The driver's license has gotten me everything I needed on any website, even like financial institutions, again, like PayPal, even Facebook. I use my driver's license, they're fine. But the problem is that the fact of the matter is that Bilibili, what they didn't tell people is not that they wanted me to send the passport to the official source, but they wanted me to send my passport to someone off of the website. I have messages, I have emails from this. When I verified with the driver's license, it was through their website. But Bilibili, the team, they wanted me to send my passport details to someone off of the website, like an accountant or some shit. And I held the line there. That is what Bilibili won't fucking tell you. Again, if you want receipts, I'll show them. If Bilibili wants to patch up some bullshit and pretend that they're the fucking innocent party here, that they have $1,000 of my dollars that I earned legitimately through posting content on there. And I will never get that $1,000. And I am thankful that I'm not in a position where I need that money, because I fucking needed that money back then, that time last year. Because all through that time where I was doing the Bilibili stuff, I legitimately would have been working 80 to 100 hours at that point a week. And you might be thinking, what the fuck are you talking about? Why would you do that? And it's because when I got to 100K followers on Bilibili, I was desperate to keep that. I was like, fuck, okay, maybe I can transfer this to YouTube. Maybe this is my big break. Maybe I'm good. Because I always wanted to do this thing. It was like a dream come true for me to be huge on a platform, because I guess that was just my narcissism, my ego poking its head out of my ass. And it's just, it's terrible. And I'm ashamed of that now, because it was literally just a need for validation that I learned about later on through what I'll talk about in a moment. But basically, I was desperate to have that popularity. And so I would just continue to keep making content and posting it. And Fiverr was busy at that point, and I had like 50 music students a week at that point. And I was also doing a little bit of Patreon stuff. But during that time in my personal life, and I won't sort of go into it too much, but I will say enough to be honest about it. I didn't have a beard at that point. At that point in time, I didn't have a beard. I was sleeping on the couch, and I slept on the couch for 2 years. And it's because the living situation I was in was less than ideal. It was the environment that I was in with the people that I was living with was bad. The places that we were living in were not ideal for living in. It was incredibly stressful, incredibly tense. It was also during the COVID pandemic, so things were sort of wild there. We had shutdowns, so I would just lose work, you know. And part of the reason that like I started Fiverr stuff was so that I could earn more money, but even then, rent had increased because we were getting out of the COVID pandemic at that point. So landlords were like, okay, we don't need to, you can still work from home, so we'll just charge you more. And it was bad. It was a bad time for me at that point. What I haven't really spoken about at this point, because I've had people comment about how I haven't spoken the right way to people who have mentioned they have mental health issues. You may be surprised to know, you're probably fucking not surprised to know that I also suffer from mental health issues. And I'm not saying it to diminish anyone else's experience. What I'm saying is that I can relate to having severe anxiety and depression issues. I can relate to that. Basically, ever since I was a kid, you know, like when the family business was doing well, things were good. When it wasn't, there were threats, there was yelling, there was even some physical violence when things got really bad. That continued from when I was like 8 years old till I learned to kickbox, and the person who was responsible for a lot of it went from physical threats and verbal abuse to psychological abuse, like threats of ultimatums and leaving, and couple this with like a complete disproportionate fucked up understanding of what a relationship it is, and me ending up with either being with extremely toxic people or me being toxic, me not being a good boyfriend, me being a terrible person sometimes, me not knowing what I want or what I need to do in order to have a happy, healthy relationship, and me completely fucking up on many different occasions. Because effectively, up until my late 20s, I was a complete fuck up of a human being. I was a complete mess. I did a lot of masking where I would hide who I was, and I would not be who I am, and it was terrible. And I made a lot of mistakes that I'm not proud of. I never did anything illegal, you know. I never did anything like, I never got like physically violent with anyone, but there'd be times I'd lose my temper and I'd say things I regretted. And while that's part of, you know, like I've gone to therapy over this year. To put in perspective, even after I got out of the previous living situation and gone to a much better one, I still woke up every morning screaming. I would wake up like this up until November this year in 2022. I would wake up screaming, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this. That was how hard 2022 was for me. Was that I literally lost the will to live on several different occasions. I had ideations of ending it all. I just struggled. It was such a struggle. Every day was terrible in some way or another. There were great times. I used to self-soothe by buying stuff or through stuff I just genuinely cannot talk about on this video, just simply because it's just it's terrible. But I don't think I'm allowed to talk about it on YouTube. But basically, I tried my best, but it was just awful. And you know, I did my best to take care of Nushka, and I'm thankful that she's a happy little kitten. And I can be proud to say that I took great care of her last year. She started losing fur for no reason. It's because she was allergic to nearly all cat food. She's developed an allergy to it. But we were scared, you know, that she was going to get really, really sick. And thankfully, she's fine now. But that was not, you know, the combination of my ear, my mental health issues, financially, it was tough. Like, things were very expensive for me last year, and it hasn't been easy. And this year for me is going to be a lot more complicated in that regard, but I'm going to be making things a lot more simple through very sort of healthy changes I've made. Like, for instance, I'm not going to self-medicate by buying things, right? It's finding moderation a balance in life. And all this kind of sort of drama was even with me knowing how to do self-care. Like, things got really bad for me in my mid-20s, and I learned how to sort of like do meditation, and I learned the importance of like gyms and going to the gym and exercising and reading and notebooks and diaries and stuff. And like the therapist that I have been seeing was incredibly proud of me for the fact that I already knew how to do all this stuff. But it was only because I'd gone to therapists multiple times over the last decade to cope with the abuse that I experienced as a kid. The healing from the toxic relationships that I was in as a teenager and as a young adult. And basically, this is where we come into 2022. Because, I mean, like, we already came here, but with YouTube, I left Bilibili because I didn't want to give Bilibili a secondary form of identification through, like, a non-official channel. They obviously didn't want to talk about that specific unofficial element. But I shit the bed with Bilibili. And there are a lot of commitments I made on Bilibili that I needed to fulfill. And I'm so thankful that I actually got through all of them. Did I get through those commitments at the right time? No, I let a lot of people down. But I got them out on there finally. I got all the videos done. And I left Bilibili. I did. I left Bilibili, and I will never go back to Bilibili because I don't trust them and I don't like the management team. It's not going back. It's never happening. I am not going to join another affiliate website over there. I don't have the patience or the time for that bullshit. There have been massive channels like Linus Tech Tips, which apparently haven't been paid. If they're that massive and they're not getting paid, what fucking chance do I have? Right? And I understand that probably upsets a lot of people watching this who may have ventured over here from the interwebs. It's just not happening. Dude, I have people who post my videos to their unofficially, without my consent, making money. Do you think I want to be reminded of that? You know, it's why I'm grateful for people to come over here to YouTube who take the risk to watch my content illegally, but also maybe you shouldn't have to, it shouldn't be illegal to watch my content because the system sucks that you have to go through the great firewall to do so. Maybe the system is the problem, and it's not that I'm not trying to capitulate to a fucking website that won't even pay me without giving them multiple forms of personal identification. I don't want to do that, so I'm not going back to Bilibili. So here we have YouTube, and it's about April, May, and I'm thinking, okay, clean slate, we're going to keep things nice and simple. And I am not going to go back into a position where I feel as if I am unable to keep my commitments. Things nice and chill. Things started nicely. I sort of did the live streams there. Things were good because people were coming along to the channel. I started doing live streams like the Jay Chow album reviews and stuff like that. And we eventually started doing the top 5 Spotify's. And it was a massive learning curve getting into the whole live streaming thing. Like I initially had a lot of enthusiasm, but I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. And as you guys know, like the audios for the initial live streams are a bit rough because I just didn't take feedback and criticism very well, and I'm sorry for that. That's the one thing I am apologetic for, is that I didn't listen to people. I was too insecure to do that. And it's something I'm embarrassed about. But at the same time, like, you can't learn without exposing that you're imperfect. You need to accept, in my opinion, that you're not perfect. And that will be a liberating thing. Because then you don't have to fake it. You don't have to pretend you're something you're not. So I can say that with a smile on my face, knowing that imperfection is fine, as real. Being perfect is complete bullshit. You know? That's one of the biggest lessons I learned from 2022. And I say that despite the fact that I made a lot of promises in 2022 that were bad. They were bad promises. Like, I said I would kind of translate videos or do like things by a certain date. Now, does that mean to say that I said it without wanting to commit to it? Absolutely not. I had every intention of committing to those commitments I made. What I underestimated was how difficult it would be to balance everything. I not only had the burnout carried from the living situation I was in up until very late 2022, combined with the difficulties of like my family stuff and even the people I'd sworn out of my life coming back in just to kind of shit on the parade a little bit, right? I barely had any friends, you know. I barely had a social life. I felt trapped in my own home. I felt as if at any moment things were not going to work out and I was going to become homeless, which was an actual thing that could have happened if I hadn't played my cards right. I could have become homeless, no matter how much money I was making. And don't get me started on the flooding situation in New Zealand. Like, if I wanted to get my own place right now, I need an extra $300 a week, and I'm already earning $70K a year. It's just how fucking ridiculous it is in New Zealand right now, flooding-wise. It's wild. You know, and that's $70K in New Zealand, which isn't much, but at the same time, I sit on a chair talking to people for 30 hours a week, and I don't work like 10 weeks a year. So it's not too bad, right? It's not too bad. But, you know, like, the one mistake I made in 2022 was overcommitting, and I've been away for like a couple of weeks. Up until now. This is we're at the present point now. And I have been looking back on 2022 and thinking, what could I have done differently in order to make it better? And I think that the thing I needed to do in 2022 was do less. And the reason I did more than what I was supposed to, I think, was because I was trying to people please. And I was desperate for the validation I got. But in actuality, I have no idea what I'm doing with YouTube. And I don't think anybody else does either. You know, you can make good thumbnails and you can make great videos and stuff like that. But the thing is that a lot of it is luck. You know, if you are not trying to make videos for fashionable subjects, if you're not trying to make videos about things that people like, you know people are going to click on, if you're not clickbaiting people, if you're not trying to be trendy, or even if you are trying to be trendy, sometimes it can just be too much, you know. Sometimes the most unexpected stuff will give you opportunities, and I think the problem with YouTube and me and any video platform has been I have been trying to be someone else. And I've actually started doing some live streaming on my other channel that I have, Logan aka Spiderhands. I've been playing some Swire. Do you know, I actually enjoy live streaming and having fun. And I think that with 2023, I want to have fun. I want to have fun. And I don't think I was having fun in 2022. And I think that came through really clearly. There were situations in 2022 when I live streamed where I was patently miserable. And I masked it and I did my best because I felt like, okay, just get through this live stream, then you know you can rest. And I was working 7 days a week. I didn't have holidays because even when I was off work from lessons, I still had Fiverr stuff to do, and I had live streams, and I feel terrible for several reasons. One, because I know that there were people who could see through that. You know, people like Andreas and Shen Yidar and Kay and Jacob and so many other people. And there were people that probably watched me and couldn't understand why I was such a contradiction, a juxtaposition, you know, and they would probably got pissed off with me. And to be fair, I overcommitted. I'd said I'd do more stuff, and it was because I wanted to make people happy. I think the most fundamental mistake you can make as a YouTuber is trying to make people happy. There is obviously a fine line between doing something completely disrespectful and fucking awful and, you know, like making something acceptable, and then making someone to make something happy and making something acceptable. I think there's minimum fundamentals that you need to follow in order to make a good YouTube video or any kind of video in general. Like, for instance, it needs to look good or appropriate to the subject matter. It needs to sound good. It needs to have a direction or a journey or a main theme. And this is shit that I've completely forgotten about a lot of the time. There was one stream I did with the Amazing Show stream, and it's my most regretted one. The reason that I regret doing the Amazing Show stream is because I did it for all the wrong reasons. And I made the person that wanted me to review them sad. And it was terrible. And it was my most embarrassing shit stream. And to be clear, I did not say any of that stuff as a way to manipulate or coerce or beg for money. That's the truth. Honestly, whenever I start a live stream, I don't expect to make any fucking money. Dude, do you think I'm naive? Like, what the fuck? I don't make these live streams to earn money. That's dumb. I have my other jobs which make money. And even then, because of how honest I am with Fiverr, what you don't understand about the Fiverr stuff potentially is that I have lost clients on Fiverr that could have been long-term supporters because I am honest about their music. They just don't want to hear it. They want to pay and get positive press so they can have a bullshit career that's based on a lie. And I'm sorry, but I'm not going to facilitate that. I don't give a fuck about your ego in the same way that you probably don't care about mine if you're that sort of small limp-dicked to not be able to handle constructive criticism. It's just not going to work. But, you know, like, I look at what's going on with the Amazing Show live stream, and I would never watch that again. I am sorry to Shinyida and everyone else who was so generous they felt terrible. I'm a shit. That's what I got, is that they felt bad for me. They felt terrible. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that happened. I'm sorry that I ruined the live stream by going into something completely unrelated. It's the one I regret the most. At least with the J Chow 8th album review, which was also a fairly contentious, controversial live stream, I didn't... Well, I think I did. They were bad. Both of them were bad because I wasn't following the fundamentals there. And the reason I wasn't following the fundamentals is because I wasn't prepared for it. I wasn't able to do it in the way it needed to be done. And that's not in a way that would have made people happy, because I still maintain the criticisms I had of that 8th album. I stand by them. But the tone that I used and the way that I communicated it was angrier than usual because I had been masking for so long. And the reason that I collapsed in that Amazing Show live stream was because I had been masking for so long. The reason that I ended up having that massive friggin' late breakdown, or whatever the fuck it was, is because I was unwell. I was sick. I was mentally unwell. It was a show. I masked during my live streams up until that point, and realizing that no one gave a fuck about what I was doing, despite the fact that people did, because they were there watching it, and they supported me, and they were extremely generous, and even the ones that didn't donate were fantastic, they came, but all I cared about was the numbers of people that were watching. And it's not the way that you're supposed to do it. Viewer numbers are bullshit. They are. If you've ever looked on those fucking Caillou kids TV shows or whatever it is, you know, like the ones that they have and they've got 34 million views, that doesn't mean it's good. It just means that people are watching it because it's something to put their kids in front of once they go and have their day night or something like that. I don't know. But the issue with the Amazing Show one was because I just my mind broke and I fucked up. I just messed up, and I'm sorry. I don't think I've publicly apologized for it, but I'm sorry. I'm really sorry about that. It was something I never want to do again. And it's something I'm sort of trying to rectify in this video, which is like almost an hour long at this point. I'm not going to edit it. This is, I don't think I've said anything in here I regret, because I've been honest. And you know, honestly, part of it as well is that when you are honest, it's a load off your shoulders. And I need to make a video like this once in a while, simply just so that people know, hey, this guy isn't full of shit. And the reason I'm swearing more often than I would usually do is because I'm not masking right now. I am inside, I'm kind of shitting myself because I'm like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen if I post this? But that couple of weeks off I've had have opened my mind to the understanding and given myself an alternative view of the world, of my life, of everything within it. I just had 2 weeks with no bullshit. I had 2 weeks of doing things very simply in a way that was healthy and productive, but also fun and enjoyable. My last 2 weeks have been some of the best weeks of my life. They have. And it was because things were simple. If I had something to do, I did it. If I didn't do shit. I did what the fuck I wanted. And it was awesome. I didn't feel obligations. I gave up on obligations and commitments that I couldn't keep, and I accepted that I was imperfect. Part of me wants to redo the Amazing Show top 5, but part of me also knows that that's a commitment that I'm making because I feel obligated. And that's not the right reason to do something. The reason to do something is because you want to do it, especially if it's not a fucking job. I want to do the Amazing Show justice because I love their music. There's other stuff as well. Like, I would love to legitimately get the Jay Chou album review done, but I'm going to be honest with you guys. I cannot afford at this point in time to translate it. That's the main issue. I can't afford, because it's an hour long, guys. It's like $200 fucking USD. Literally, I have a degree, a double major in management, as well as strategy entrepreneurship. My business brain is saying, Logan, if you're doing this to make money, because if you're spending money, you need to do this to make money. So, for instance, if I was to spend $200 on the Jay Chou album review, like, it needs to make $200 back. That is basic business sense, right? So, you know, like, my brain is like, okay, if you're going to spend that money, you need to make sure that you make that back. And then that puts me under pressure. Whereas if I didn't have to translate it, it would be fine. But the problem is that a lot of my audience wants it to be translated because otherwise they won't fucking watch it. So it's hard, okay? It's hard to do that. It's totally scripted. I could just record it if I wanted to, but I'm not ready to do that right now. I'm not ready to do that. I would like to do it. That's as much as I'm going to say. The Sheena Ringo and Tokyo Incidents top 5 that I wanted to do, or the album review that I wanted to do, I do want to do that too. I want to do everything that I've committed to. I wanted to do the 6-hour fan request live stream. I want to re-upload the 6-hour fan request live stream that is not on the channel right now because some dipshit fucking manually blocked it and wouldn't allow me to trim it. Fucking assholes. Who stops a person from trimming the content out and makes them re-upload the whole damn thing again? It's garbage, dude. That's YouTube for you, man. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But that's just it. There are a lot of things I want to do. I'm also exhausted still. And you might be thinking, but Logan, you've had like 2 weeks off. Why would you be exhausted? Because I'm fucking tired, dude. I have been working off 15 years of burnout. I woke up every day tired. I haven't slept properly since I was 15. And part of that is because I've realized that I don't sleep well. I can't breathe through this nostril because I've got a deviated septum. So I have to spend like $7,800 later this year to be able to afford to fix my deviated septum so I can have the first good night's sleep in like 15 years. Couple that with the fact that I didn't even have a beard for 2 years. And that's partly part of the reason why I'm so tired. And it makes perfect sense. I want to do the Sheena Ringo Tokyo Incident stuff. I want to do more Jay Chou album reviews, but another thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to do the next I'm going to do the 12th Jay Chou album on Saturday, right? So this Saturday, as per usual, the first Saturday of the month. But I'm not going to do the next Jay Chou album, the 13th, until we get to 8,000 subs. And the reason is because I want them to be special. I want them to be special. I don't want it to be a run-of-the-mill obligation thing. I want them to be a kind of like celebration of getting to that point. And then we will do the 14th at 9,000. And then we will do the 15th, the most recent album, when we get to 10,000 subs. That's non-negotiable. That allows me to do other albums in the meantime if I feel like it. My YouTube channel needs to not be about Jay Chou. It needs to be about a lot of other things. And there have been people like Fujikaze who have arguably gotten more attention view-wise or engagement-wise than my Jay Chou stuff. Like, I did a Fujikaze review. It was like 15 minutes. I got 3,000 views. I do a Jay Chou album review that's 2 hours long, it gets 4,000. Do you see the difference between them work-wise? But also, it's just far more cleaner to do single track reviews and album reviews. But I've committed to doing the album reviews, and the combination of that with a combination of me enjoying listening to JHR's music and genuinely being interested in the dude, and I still want to do the 6 to 10 and the 11 to 15, as well as a massive video on his entire discography ranking it. I still want to do those. But I'm taking my time. I need to take my time with it, okay? Because I don't want to burn myself out. I woke up this morning and I'm getting back into doing Fiverr stuff, and I'm feeling that kind of fuck shit. You know, I'm feeling that kind of, damn it, I'm having to sort of like rush my time, and it sucks, dude. I don't want life to be stressful. I'm 31. I don't have kids. I have a decent paying set of jobs that I do. I have a roof over my head that's stable. I have all my healthcare sorted. I have a gym membership. I have a therapist. I have medication out the fucking wazoo if I need it. I have everything I need. I have a fucking massive studio with all these toys in there. I have a video editing studio in here. I have a lot that I'm appreciating and I respect. And I have the YouTube stuff, the Patreon with all the SP patrons, and I'm so thankful for your support because it has genuinely helped me throughout this year. It helps pay my bills. It does. The Patreon helps pay my bills. Without a shadow of a doubt, I don't use that money for assets. I only use it for stuff to do with my personal bills. Because I just don't think that... I don't think it's appropriate for me to buy a fucking t-shirt or some shit with it, you know? I want anyone that donates to the channel for their stuff to go back into the to either helping me take care of myself or stuff to do with the channel. But look. 2023, and I suppose in essence, because I've been going for a literal hour at this point, 2023 is going to be a year where I want to have fun. I've given my indications of what I want to achieve and accomplish. I will be honest with people. And there may be some times where like it's really hard for me to be honest. Because being honest for me is very difficult because I care about what people think, and I'm scared that if I don't say the right thing, that people won't like me anymore. And I'm scared that, you know, life is so fragile and, you know, attention is so fragile, but I have had enough of watching big-ass YouTubers complain about demonetization. YouTube as a job is a fucking joke. It's an absolute joke. It's an absolute fucking joke. YouTube is clearly wanting to appeal to a certain audience now, and you have to come to terms with that. And if you've based your entire life around such a fragile, and I don't blame them because a lot of these people are kids, like in their late teens, early 20s, who haven't had the time to get the business acumen required to actually have their own business. Like if you think I handled Billy badly? Oh, geez, if I was in my early 20s at that point, it would have been way worse. People get successful too quick and don't know how to handle it. And YouTube is such a fragile thing that, you know, you can spend, again, months working on a video, thinking it'll get the same sort of X amount of thousands you are, and you start planning your budget around it. No, never mind, you got monetized, and then suddenly it's not worth working on YouTube anymore. No, it's the fact of the matter is that it just wasn't viable to rely on YouTube as a source of income in the first place. And because of that, whatever you feel ethically, it's just what it is. YouTube is not stable. It will never be stable unless you create content that is inoffensive and exactly what YouTube wants. And YouTube does not want edgy content. YouTube wants content that's family friendly, that people can relate to. And you need to be able to, you only have an opportunity to challenge that when you're big enough. And I mean big as in like 6 to 7 figures, and even then 6 figures? Fuck, man. You're struggling with that. 1 million subs? Yeah, you get that gold placard. You get big. But not at 7, not at 6. I mean, you know, you need to get to 1 million subs before you have any sort of leverage. I need to use the bathroom, so you can tell I'm being honest here because I need to mention that. That's why I'm squirming. It's uncomfortable. It's been a long time since I've spoken my mind into a microphone for an hour. I want you to appreciate the fact that I value your opinion. I want you to appreciate the fact that if you say something that you might think will hurt me, probably will. I'm a sensitive dude. I know that the internet is not a place for sensitive people. unless you're on the right side of that. And even then, people when you open your life up to millions, if not billions of people, you're going to get people who are sadists and will fuck with you just so they can get their rocks off. And you're also dealing with kids and teenagers and stuff. I want you to just trust that I had every intention of fulfilling my obligations that I had last year, and I didn't do it. I was unwell. I was struggling with time. I overcompensated. I overpromised, and I cannot guarantee that I'll get everything done that I talked about in this video this year. I have to take care of myself and my cat. I have to get well. I have to rest, and I have to take care of my physical and mental health. And I have to fucking do that properly because I'm getting older now. In your 20s, you're bulletproof, but in your 30s, shit starts to deteriorate. Apparently human beings are at their most mentally optimal when they're 27, and after that it just goes south. And I have history of like heart disease and stuff like that in my family. I could get legitimately sick if I allow myself to get too stressed. So from the bottom of my heart, to anyone out there, I suppose this is the big message. There's two, I suppose. One, if you are experiencing mental health issues and you have been through abuse and you've been through toxic relationships, and if you have not gotten help, if you have not got anyone to talk to, I hope that you can find someone to reach out to. I hope that you can find someone who will listen to you and care for you. Everyone deserves to be heard. Even if it's the most repulsive, repugnant shit, as long as it's not aimed at someone, of course, but if you've got shit on your mind and you're afraid to say it, that's going to be far more toxic to you than telling it to someone who is either paid to listen and give advice, or just, don't put it on the internet, but like I have, because I'm opening myself up to all sorts of drama at this point. But like, if you can find someone to help you out, please do. Don't be afraid of medication. Like, I speak as someone who isn't bipolar, for example, so I know that some medications are a lot more severe than others. But medication is okay. Taking pills is okay. Find a good doctor who won't overload you just for the sake of getting you done. Like here, I know in New Zealand here they're a lot more careful, but in some parts of the world they'll just put you on pills and just be like, you'll be good now, and you will, but then you develop an addiction. If you can, start small, like I did. Like I'm on citrulline or something like that, and I started on one pill and it just wasn't quite enough, so I'm on 1.5. I can't drink alcohol, but a lot, but that's fine. Just a little bit. And like for anyone who was like, no, fuck that. If it's like escitalopram was a bad time, they don't offer escitalopram anymore. Escitalopram, I mean they do, but like I wouldn't go back to that because that was bad. The medication is getting better. It's okay to ask for help. And anyone who hasn't seen a therapist or who has the opportunity but has turned it down, find a therapist, man. Like honestly, even if you think you're mentally well, talking to someone and just getting all that crazy weird stuff out is the best thing you can do. It's the best thing you can do because you don't know how sane you are until you get a third person perspective from someone who's non-biased. You may not, I went through really shitty therapists. A few of mine just were not paid enough to care. But the one I'm going to, I pay them and they give good advice and they're legit. And I appreciate them for that. And I will be going back to more therapy this year because I want to just work that out. Because they've told me the importance of saying things like, I feel like this instead of I am. Because if you label yourself as something, that's assuming it's a constant. But feelings are temporary. I wanted to do a lot of things in this video, like show pictures of my trip and stuff like that, but I cannot. I'm tired, man. I'm fucking tired, dude. And I'm not tired, angry tired. I just can't be fucking bothered. I can't. I feel like if anybody's this is the most real video I've ever posted in my entire life. And if you're a music client watching this, wanting me to get a review, know that I don't go out of my way to make people feel terrible. I want to enjoy your music. And as long as you make music that is worth the time of the people listening to it, it's kind of the point of having a music career, right? Is to make music that's gonna fucking affect people in a positive way. Or maybe you're making like horror music and it's meant to be scary and spooky. But why are you putting stuff out if you're afraid of people's honesty, man? That's the trade, man. Just, as long as it's constructive feedback And this is me knowing that I've had to take plenty of it, and I haven't always taken it well, but I'm trying to, you know? Look, love yourself. Take care of yourself. Sleep. Sleep's so fucking important. Like, I got so much sleep over the time I was away. Sleep. If you can't sleep, take some fucking herbal tea, man. Like, get a sleep schedule sorted. You know, get blackout curtains. Get those things you put over your eyes. Sleep. Drink lots of water, man. Stay hydrated. Enjoy life. Spend time with friends and family. And if you can't, try and find people, man. You know, even though COVID's still out there, I don't think there's as many lockdowns as there used to be. So find friends, find family, man. You know, just take care of yourself. And, you know, if you can, if your bucket is full and someone else is struggling, maybe take care of them. You know, give them a blanket and some fucking food and just go and I feel like I'm gonna cry. Like, just be kind if you can. This is my video to start 2023, and I don't know what's gonna happen, and I'm not gonna put out any expectations. So I suppose the crux of this is I've given a lot of reasons for why I might not have been the best content creator or even the best human being in 2022. But all I can do now is learn those lessons, learn from those experiences, and move forward now. And I am looking forward to what we do from here on out. I'm hoping that doing the JHL album reviews less often will allow me to review other albums. I'm not going to promise that I'm going to do weekly live streams. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do it because it's fucking exhausting, and I am going to need weeks off because I'm going to maybe want to go away for the weekend, you know. There will always be the daily Fiverr stuff, like the Fiverr reviews. And that's just a given because I'm a professional music reviewer. If you are still suspicious after this video that I'm being disingenuous or insincere in my reviews, you know, not that I tried to convince you in the first place, but I've provided information that I think asserts the potential that I actually may be making non-biased reviews. And if you don't want to listen to that music, that's fine, but you will literally potentially find a new musician each day. And maybe that's a challenge you can give to yourself as part of a secondary New Year's resolution, is to find new music. Because I have people that are like, I don't know what the new music is. It's right there on the channel. I play the whole thing. There are links to the music. There is new music. There is millions of musicians making music every day. And you might be wondering, well, it's only one a day. Of course it is. I don't want to review more than one musician a day because the channel just becomes so oversaturated, and the YouTube algorithm needs us only to put out 1 or 2 videos max a day because it just replaces the most recent one with the next. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? So, TLDR, happy 2023. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. I really need to use the bathroom. I will be back. Whenever? I'm not going to make any promises. If you are an SP patron, I'll be getting in touch at some point before the end of the month. All the patron reviews will be delivered on time as per usual. There was like one that I forgot to deliver just simply because I forgot the message, and that was a fuck up on my part, but it's been a very long time since that happened. And yeah, if you do want to support the channel and help me to pay my bills, join the Patreon. There'll be a link in the description of this video. You can just join for $1 a month if you want to just give like sort of general support. $3 a month if you want priority in the fan request live stream SP Patreon each month. And then there's also the $12 one where you get a custom monthly music review of a song of your choice, up to 7 minutes in length. But I'm going to go catch you guys in the next review. I feel so much better now. I feel over the fucking moon. I am so happy to have gotten that off my chest. I'm so happy. So happy. And sometimes the happiest is when you aren't smiling. You just feel the peace, the warm, gentle touch of freedom. Because when you admit that you are imperfect and you admit that you are not who people need you to be, fuck, it's good. It makes me glad and grateful that I work. You know, this is not a job. YouTube is not a job for me. Donations are like, we have a term in New Zealand called koha, which is like love, and the donations are koha, but I would never rely on them as a wage. And the same token, I do not take you for granted. Thank you very much for watching this video. To anyone who's watched until this point, Clearly, you're a super fan. But yeah, I fucking people say they love their people in videos. They love their fans and stuff. I think I was guilty of that initially, and it feels gross when I say that because I actually don't know you. I don't know who you are watching this. It's not like we're having a face-to-face conversation, but I appreciate you watching, legitimately. But I also didn't make this video so that you'd watch it. So hopefully that makes sense. I made this video because I wanted to talk about myself before I started spending the rest of the year talking about everyone else. But I'll catch you in the next video. Best of luck for 2023. Spiderhands out.